The Bills, they snuck by today. They got a 3-point win over the Dolphins. Wasn't always pretty, but they got the job done. What's the takeaway from the Bills' ability to get a W today?
Well, they had, if you were a Bills fan, you were shook the first half because they just wasn't clicking, couldn't punch the ball in. Wanted to play the ball right in the money to the wide receiver, the interception towards the end zone. But more importantly, man, they seemed like they were a different team coming out in the second half. First half they had a big problem stopping the run. But I'll tell you, man, these divisional games sometimes, they're the toughest game. Even the other team is not as good as you are. It's just something about these division games that the level is higher, right? And look, we always say a win's a win. You'll take it. What is it, they're 7-2 now, and I'll say this, and they're probably one of the teams that's not talked about enough, the most quiet 7-2 team out there right now. But they're going out getting it done. That's what's most important.
For years, they've been one of the best teams of the AFC, but unable to get past the Chiefs in the playoffs. Do you think it's any different this year? And if so, why would it be different this year for the Bills?
I was talking about that before the game. I said, this team feels different because they're beating you on multi-facets, right? It's not like they got to get the ball in Stephon Diggs' hand, 10, 15 times, a big play wide receiver. They're spreading the ball around. And so they're keeping a lot of teams on their heels where you can't really game plan them as much. I think that's a big difference in this team going out this year. It's not one player you got to stop. They're running the ball extremely well. And Cook, man, Cook is doing something this team really needed. He's stepping it up. That play in the end zone where he kind of put his hand down on the ground and went another 4 or 5 yards ahead. They're running the football well. They're establishing run. They're playing a great 3 phases of the game. And so this team feels different than it has been in the past where they couldn't get over the hump. And I think this year they'll be able to do it.
So you think you give them a chance to beat the Chiefs if they meet in the playoffs?
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think, they're obviously going to come out of that division a win, but they're going to cause problems against anybody, especially early on in the playoffs. And if you're an AFC team, you're hoping that you don't see them because you know they're going to be riding high going into the playoffs. And when I was in the building today and around some of the players, you get a different feel in the conversation you had with these guys in the previous years, even with Josh Allen and as well as Josh Allen played. You have a different conversation with these guys. There's a different level of confidence. They seem like they're not too high, not too low on themselves, and it's work. It's just work week. Not really talking about Super Bowl. They're not talking about the Chiefs. They had their mindset out on the next game. That wasn't the case last year because it was so much, almost like a dark cloud that they had to get over because they just couldn't get over the hump. This is not the same team they were last year.
You mentioned that you're in Buffalo today because Lights Out Sports TV was at the Ultimate Fan Zone in Buffalo. And it was interesting because the bulk of your career, the best years of your career happened with the Chargers. But you said being with the Bills the last couple of years of your career, one of the best things that ever happened to you. Why was that? Why was that so special for you to go there the last couple of seasons?
I think we all talk about Bills Mafia and we see the tape, social media stuff that goes viral. But, man, playing in front of these guys, you feel like you're playing in front of family, a second or third cousin, that you feel like that they're there to support you, win or lose. They got your back, and you want to return that favor. And kind of walking into the, to the tailgate, you mentioned we had a new free ad-supported streaming service for Lights Out Sports TV. I walked out there, and they just went nuts. And as you said, man, I wasn't what I was when I played for the Chargers. And I didn't have the career I had with the Chargers and the Bills. And they welcomed me in with open arms, man. I always appreciate that. But playing in front of that, and I meant it. I'm not just saying, I meant it. That I wish every player got an opportunity to experience something like that.
It's such a unique place to play, to watch a game, to be part of the community. I've gotten to go up there a couple of times over the last few years, and every time it is just so special. From the atmosphere to the fans to the community, it's like a small town as a big city that has a football team almost like a college team. It's so close to college that it's unlike anything else in the NFL, maybe outside of Green Bay, that it is just so incredible. So I can only imagine that when you play in front of those fans, it just has to feel unlike anywhere else in the NFL.
When we hosted the show today, I did it with two of my former teammates, George Wilson and Terrence McGee. and we were talking about how much we missed playing in that in some of our most favorite moments. We beat the Patriots in 2011. Thought that we won the Super Bowl, right? Because everybody, obviously, it was so much hate for Tom Brady and the Patriots there in their town. People didn't even go to work the next day. It was almost like a holiday. This is how they treat football in Buffalo, and you don't get that anywhere else. And I think it's such a special place that you can't put into words. You can't describe it and want to feel it. Because I walked into that parking lot and those tailgates today, man, and it was like I saw all my extended relatives. It was the best feeling that any former player can ever have.
It's such a good way to describe it. Those are extended family right there. When you are in that stadium with those fans, that's extended family.